Welcome back to the show. Check out these headlines. We got USD Tether and the pinch that's coming, and the real USD, as well as an update on the two cases involving Ripple and Brad Garlinghouse. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and digperspectives.com. Ladies and gentlemen, it is $2.45 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is off by 3.4%. Right now, 63,600 plus for Bitcoin. It's off 5.1 on the 7-day. 3,400 plus for Ethereum, off 0.9 on the 7-day. Tether right now is sitting at $112.6 billion market cap plus, and we see USDC sitting at 32.6 plus. Where will real USD sit? We'll know very soon. And how much of the European Union market cap is market is contributing to the 112.6 million market cap? Because in another 9 days, it won't be. How about that one? XRP's at 48 cents. Hello, off 2.1 on the 24, up 2.5 on the 7-day. It's almost a wash. Looking at this, we're ranging between 49 and 50 cents. So it's almost not even moving this morning, ladies and gentlemen. But you know what is? I'll tell you what is. It's private equity. The best private equity in the world, ladies and gentlemen. Just saw that Cerebras filed their IPO. They're going. And guess where you were getting that beforehand? Right here on Link 2. You know, the list goes on and on from the amazing opportunities that are on this platform. And it's not over, ladies and gentlemen. 82 companies available here. Take the few minutes, and I do mean few minutes. Like, you can sign up and register in under 5 minutes. You can fund your account in less than that. It is that streamlined and that simple. And you get access to the best private equity in the world, and I really do mean that. And it is from every emerging sector on the planet. That's the other part of this, with the most affordable minimums. You can't afford not to do this. Click the link to my sponsor and check them out below. Let's get started here. Oh boy. I think we all know who this guy is. This is Brock Pierce, Tether founder here. Oh boy. Can I just play this? Let me just play this so we understand where the Tether founder was coming from in the beginning here.
I started, one of the companies I co-founded is a thing called Tether.
Yeah.
And so Tether, the idea was to put the US dollar on the blockchain to give it the same attributes and capabilities as Bitcoin. And the reason for creating that was I saw that eventually central banks and treasury departments would say, oh, technology could be a tool to enhance our jobs, right? A tool that could improve our currency. And so I went around the world talking about this idea, teaching governments around about this idea, educating policymakers, speaking to the public, recognizing that that would likely happen one day. Technology is going to impact everything. Tether by itself, I think, was also a very successful experiment in the sense that there's about $10 trillion a year of transactions being done with it, which means there's demand for such a thing. And so what we have happening now is governments like China.
Jordan Belfort is sitting there listening to this going, how are you not in jail? That's the look on his face. I don't even know that man, and I can tell that's the look on his face, but keep listening.
China and other governments recognized that this idea had merit. They started experimenting with this concept about 3 years ago, and China is on the verge right now of launching a digital yuan. So if you go down to Latin America, if you're in Venezuela right now, the people in Venezuela do not want their local currency. They do not want the bolivar. It's essentially a failed currency. What do they all want? They want US dollars. That's true in places like Argentina and others. Similar in Africa, Southeast Asia. And so right now there's a tremendous amount of demand for dollars for a variety of reasons all over the world. Once there is a digital yuan that is more accessible, I could conceive of a time in the not too distant future where people in all of these places would prefer to have a digital yuan. And I think the US dollar has to stay competitive with foreign currencies. If foreign governments are going to upgrade their currencies and make them digital, I think the US government, I think that we need to be doing something similar with our dollar. Do exactly what Tether has essentially done, but it should be being done at the Treasury and Federal Reserve.
Federal Reserve level. Yeah, well, take a look at this. This right here. Tether reveals partnership with the Secret Service and the FBI. Well, FBI is a domestic agency that deals with things right here in the U.S. Tether's outside the U.S. Secret Service was an agency created to chase down counterfeiters of the U.S. dollar. They're partnered, according to the CEO of Tether, as of December last year. They announced that they're partnered with Secret Service and the FBI. So I'd say that the Treasury is certainly looking at issuing their own digital dollar. And with the trouble that Tether's got, they're looking at releasing a gold-backed stablecoin now. And I think this is in direct understanding that they know that the one that they currently offer without gold backing is being targeted and captured. Here, right here, is important words from Representative French Hill. Representative Hill. Yeah. I want you to listen to what he says right here.
Critical, because next week on the House floor, we will have our FIT 21 bill, which lays out and removes the uncertainty around raising money and doing work in digital assets. It's been terrible for the last decade, and we've worked mightily for the last few years to find consensus, Democrats and Republicans, where we can direct the CFTC and the SEC and the banking regulators how to handle the future digital asset space. And it's been tough over the last couple of years to reach that consensus, but I think we have, and I want to thank everybody in the digital chamber that's here in Washington this week or listening online for all their help to make that happen.
No doubt about it, and I'd like to thank them too, no question. And you know what? Great interview from Cody that day. Look, here's the deal. We know that things are turning because the micro-regulations in another 9 days go into effect. That's what's happening. Stable coins go into effect June 30th, and then the rest of the micro-regulations at the end of this year, December 30th. And we know that they're very real, and it does affect Tether because we saw from Uphold, we are not speculating here. Owing to new European rules on stablecoins, we will no longer support the following assets, including the DAI token and USD Tether and a few others here. This is not a guess. This is what's happening. But this is why I said to you...
Okay, the name of the Ripple stablecoin will be RLUSD. I like to call it Real USD, Ripple USD.
And I like to call it the Real USD too. And the reason I like to call it the Real USD is because we know how many people have come through the U.S. Treasury through Ripple's camp. Like Rosie Rios, who's still there today, the 43rd treasurer. Or Craig Phillips when he was there. Or Susan Friedman, who is still there. Or Michael S. Barr, who was a Ripple advisor who came from the Treasury, who designed and architected the Dodd-Frank rule that gave us FSOC, for goodness sakes. And now he's at the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. What is he doing there? Helping to architect stablecoin legislation. So when Brad Garlinghouse says it's the real USD, I believe him. I believe him based on that. Then let's look at the effects that are happening around the world geopolitically about the petrodollar and China.
Don't look now, but China's on the verge of bringing all of this together. All of the leading producers of oil under one banner and all potentially bought and sold in Chinese currency. The petrodollar, which is why we have the lifestyle we have. You don't just get rid of the petrodollar and expect to live like we live. We are about to become Venezuela or Mexico if we're lucky. The petrodollar, the dollar's status as the world's reserve currency, is on the verge of being dethroned. Mark my words, I hope I am wrong. I pray I'm wrong. But I believe this will all happen before we have a new president. The next 18 months are going to be one hellacious ride, if he's right. And you know what? It is going to be one hellacious ride, and you can't rule out the idea. Look, we already know Saudi Arabia is not
renewing the petrodollar agreement. They're in negotiations to get a new agreement in place, and they already have acknowledged that they're not exclusively trading oil in just U.S. dollars. They're not saying they're excluding U.S. dollars, which would be the scenario that Glenn is talking about right here, right? If they were to exclude U.S. dollars. But accepting other currencies is a much different thing, and that's what's happening currently right now. But that could escalate. And when you think about the backdoor plan of China to organize the BRICS coalition, to get the majority, if not all, of the main oil producers inside of BRICS, you can then wield a lot of power geopolitically and influence the monetary system because you have so much control collectively inside of BRICS of the oil production of the world. This is why I have said we were under the gold standard first, then we went to the petrodollar. We are going to need something new to underpin the U.S. dollar as well as the monetary system, and I do believe that that will be the XRP ledger. But how? How will you do that? This is how.
Ripple is really focused on how do we enable an internet of value? How do we make value move the way information moves today? And that's our big kind of multi-year, 10-year view of how the world will evolve. And it's really how do we dial that back and to make it tactical and real today and tomorrow. And I think if you want to enable an internet of value, you've got to connect the repositories of value. Right. And the repositories of value, as big as the Bitcoin value proposition is today, the banks own trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars of assets. So if we want to enable an internet of value, we've got to connect the banks and payment service providers and MSBs. And we're excited to have made a bunch of progress on that.
And there you have it right there. That is a very big deal. The only way I see that you're going to have a chance to compete with an agreement on the petrodollar changing is to make sure that you've connected the repositories of the world, as Brad Garlinghouse has said. Not to mention, you're going to want to make sure that you have yourself connected to all the different factions of the world when it comes to this fractionalized payment system. And just inside of BRICS, we can see that that's been done here. The Ripple connections in each region of BRICS is very, very real, ladies and gentlemen. And knowing that they want to go to local currency trade really lends itself to the understanding that when they come outside of the coalition to do trading with the rest of the world, a bridge asset like XRP is a perfect complement, is it not? It really is. Let's switch to court news, ladies and gentlemen, because ultimately we're going to need legal clarity all the way around for us to really move forward. I do believe in the legal dog leash theory, you know that, which means as we see adoption continue, like the release of a stablecoin, which will continue to increase adoption on the XRP ledger for XRP, I believe that we're going to see appeals of some kind in these cases, but we have two cases. Remember, we have the Zakinov case out in California, which we're going to talk about now, and the SEC case itself. Let's start with the California case. U.S. federal court has allowed civil securities lawsuit against Ripple Labs to proceed to trial even, denying the company's request for summary judgment. The lawsuit alleges Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse violated California securities laws. We go further into this. Judge Phyllis Hamilton in the California case granted Ripple's motion for summary judgment on federal case claims for unregistered securities and state law securities claims, effectively removing most class action allegations against Ripple. So it's a good outcome, but there's still a piece to this, right? So Ripple won on a partial victory by dismissing most class action lawsuit against them. Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple CEO, will face trial for allegedly misleading investors about XRP sales in 2017. This is over a specific comment that was made by Brad Garlinghouse. Despite the legal battles, the price of XRP remains stable with no clear direction in the short term. If we go in here, I think the actual statement was in this article, I thought. It's not. But basically, it is over a direct comment that Brad Garlinghouse made years and years ago. It's pretty ridiculous. However, I think they state this properly here. I want to find where they say it on this. Let me just go through this. It's very short, and you want all of this. The war between Ripple and the SEC just got hotter. In recent developments, U.S. District Court in Northern California dismissed several major claims in a class action lawsuit against Ripple, providing a procedural victory for the company. But wait, what does it mean? Judge Phyllis Hamilton granted Ripple's motion for summary judgment. And then basically here comes down to... It said they're satisfied with this outcome. Ripple Stewart Alvarado did say that. Despite these dismissals, the court did not resolve the critical question of whether XRP is a security or not. This pivotal issue will be decided by a jury which will evaluate if XRP meets the criteria of the Howey test. The uncertainty surrounding XRP status continues to loom large over the company and its investors. In a separate civil securities lawsuit against Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse, a California judge ruled that Garlinghouse must face trial over allegations of making misleading statements about XRP sales in 2017. While the court dismissed 4 other claims, it determined that the trial would center on whether Garlinghouse's actions influenced investors' decisions. It did not. I don't believe that. This ruling differs from Ripple's partial victory in New York. The trial aims to clarify if XRP should legally classify as a security. Judge Hamilton's decision contrasts sharply with a ruling by Judge Annalise Torres in the Southern District of New York, who found that XRP was not a security when sold by retail investors, as it did not fulfill all elements of Howey. Fred Rispoli highlighted the potential for settlement in the California case due to low damages and the risk of negative jury verdict for Ripple. So watch for some kind of settlement, probably undisclosed, in that particular case. So that's the California case. Now let's switch gears and go to the SEC versus Ripple case. Jeremy Hogan, shout out to you, Jeremy, managing partner of Hogan & Hogan, predicts that the SEC's appeal in the Ripple case may not end in a decisive victory here. Let's go into this. If you go into this, he says the SEC is considering appealing a judge's ruling in the Ripple case, which had mixed results for them. Even if the SEC wins the appeal, the legal battle could drag on without a clear win. The SEC's decision could impact how cryptocurrency is regulated in the future. And we heard this the other day from Christina Littman, a former chief of the SEC Division of Enforcement. So Hogan argues that even if the SEC managed to win its appeal, the case would be sent back to the trial court for additional fact-finding. This would extend the legal proceedings without providing a clear-cut win for the SEC. In July of 23, Torres issued a mixed ruling that shook the SEC. She determined that the XRP tokens are not securities when sold to retail investors on exchanges, marking a significant defeat for the SEC. Conversely, she also concluded that Ripple's sale of XRP institutional investors violated federal securities laws, offering the SEC partial consolation. And then we know what Christina Littman said, because we covered it here on the channel, that the SEC basically may face a critical decision on whether to pursue an appeal, but if they lose that appeal, it could affect how they move forward on the entire cryptocurrency industry. So if they don't want to run the risk of having their wings clipped at the SEC, they may not choose to appeal for the fact that they don't like the return. So if the ruling on the return of the appeal shuts them down, they may say, you know what, let's not appeal that case because we still have the freedom today to go poop on anyone else in the crypto space, which is a pretty horrible position that they've created for themselves. And they could really put a one-pager on their website and be done with this and get a better result than they're getting with regulation by enforcement. That's the despicable thing about this, not to mention that they're using our taxpayer dollars to suppress all of us with our own money. Yeah, I know, I want to vomit too. Digperspectives.com, ladies and gentlemen, the Freedom Zone. I hope you'll join us later today, because later today we're going to have the weekend review and we're going to have Black Swan Capitalists on today. You're going to want to watch that. This is a great way to support the channel here for next to nothing. I appreciate all of you that do so. No doubt about it. My level of gratitude for each and every one of you that you allow me into your daily routine of your life is one of the highest honors I have ever received. You can follow us at digperspectives.com, click the Freedom Zone, and come on in. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. I'll catch all of you on the next one.